Yeah, it can happen and happen pretty quickly. He gave me absolutely no notice at all. Thankfully, he's hit the left-hand corner of the car. So from what I can tell, there's no damage, not to the car at least. Did not see that coming.
There's a snake.
Well, g'day pilgrims, and welcome to another Mongrel Dog production. And welcome to this, well 5 on the Canning Stock Route in remote Western Australia. Chris and I have got some unfinished business to complete. Grab your gear. Let's go. Well, with the passing of every car, it's just getting worse and worse. Yeah, to try and join the dots here, Chris and I attended the Red Dust Revival, and we were going to use that as a stepping off point. From here, he and I were going to go to well 5 on the Canning Stock Route. Chris and I have done most of the Canning Stock Route by car and some by motorcycle. But some years ago we tried to go from well 9 down to well 1 because that's the part we hadn't done, and we tried to do that on our bikes, on DR650s. Anyway, it got too hard, so we bailed at well 5. So he and I have still got some unfinished business to do, so we were going to use this as a stepping off point. Go to well 5, and from well 5 then make our way down to well 1. So that was the plan. What we're going to do, we're going to get out of here, get on the hard stand, and then have a chat. With us is Chris's adult daughter, Megan. She's got herself a Suzuki Jimny, and this was her introduction, if you like, to let's call it four-wheel driving or outback touring. So we've got to take that into consideration as well. Alright, so yes, we've pulled over at the junction. This is a critical point for us. Turn left to go to Kalgoorlie, or turn right and go sort of bush, or the back roads up to Laverton and then on to Wiluna. We're going to continue on with plan A, and that is, make our way towards Laverton through the back roads, all unsealed. First sign of any trouble, then we'll stop, pull over, have a chat, turn around and maybe head back. But at this stage, we'll stick to plan A, and that is get to well 5 and make our way south on the Canning Stock Route. Yeah, these conditions are pretty treacherous. We're down to about 50 k's an hour. I've lost it twice. You're just a passenger. No way you've got any control. It continues to rain. Not heavy, but it's constant. Pretty loose underfoot. Yeah, constant drizzle. Constant drizzle. Well, we've come from that direction. I've just pulled over there so that Meg can see my car as she comes around the bend, and this is the track we've got to take. The signposting out here is not great. That says Lav, meaning Laverton, or Laverton, depending on where you come from. And the Sun, well, that's Sunrise Dam, which is a mine, a gold mine through there. So yeah, this junction was critical, and I was with a group a couple of years ago, and they missed it and kept going, and we had to backtrack some kilometres. So yeah, the signposting out here is not great, and if you don't have up-to-date maps, then you could be in a world of hurt. Yeah, the conditions continue to be very, very soft underfoot. I've lost it several times. When I say lost it, I mean, yeah, you're just a passenger. You've got no control. Thankfully, because of the speeds that we have been doing, you just let the vehicle find its own way and get back on the road. Yeah, pretty soft underfoot. Right, we've arrived at Laverton. Things have got somewhat complicated. Most of our gear is wet, all our camping gear, because of last night's rain. I'm packing up this morning in the drizzle. We were hoping to stay at the caravan park at Laverton, but it appeared all locked up, so I made a phone call and it works out they're renovating the place and they'll be shut for about 3 or 4 months, he reckons. I said, what are the options? And he said, well, they've opened up the racetrack for camping. Now, we've come and had a look. There's no water at all, not even to flush the toilets. You know, there's some grassed area there, of course, where we can spread our gear out to dry. But as I said, there's not even any water to flush the toilets. What we're going to do, we're going to go back into town. We're going to go to the hotel, see if we can buy a shower, and then maybe come up with a strategy. There's no sense going out bush now. I mean, it's getting on. And we'll only get about an hour out down the road and then have to bush camp. And then we've still got the same problem of all the gear being wet and stuff. So we'll go into town, we'll come up with a strategy and then take it from there. Yeah, there's no power and no water to the toilets, no showers or anything. So going to the toilet's going to be a bit of an issue. But we'll improvise, adapt, overcome. All being bolted shut. Oh, here we go. No water. Although we did find a tap for the gardens. Found a tap for the gardens. We're actually using that to wash some of the mud off the cars. Because once that stuff sets, it's like rock. Well, we're leaving the showground, or the race course at least. We just got to duck into town for some minor resupply and fuel. The next resupply for us will be Wiluna, which is about 400 k's away. We're getting there by all the back roads, down sealed roads. It's been raining on and off all evening and this morning, so the roads will still be quite damp, quite wet. I'm not expecting anything too untoward, but these roads and tracks I haven't been on, and that always provides a little bit of anxiety and apprehension, not knowing what the conditions are going to be like. But anyway, we'll go into town, refuel, resupply, and then get underway. All this caked on mud has put the wheels out of balance. It's really noticeable the faster you go. Hopefully you won't feel that impact on the unsealed stuff, which is just around the corner for us. And hopefully some of it hardens up and breaks off. We've only just got off the blacktop and I'm already leaving a dust trail. So whatever rain that they've had, there must be a line and it just stops. It certainly doesn't look damp around here. Well, the conditions have suddenly changed. We've gone from a wide, well-formed gravel road to the complete opposite. I wasn't expecting that. I've just done a nav check and we are on the right track. But yeah, it's gone from not one extreme to the other, but certainly a big shift in conditions. Yeah, it can happen, and happen pretty quickly. He gave me absolutely no notice at all. Thankfully, he's hit the left-hand corner of the car. So, from what I can tell, there's no damage, not to the car at least. It's always a tragedy when it happens, hitting native wildlife. But yeah, like I say, they're unpredictable. It happens at no notice. I don't know, actually I'll take it all back. It looks like he's copped it right there, because that my number plate didn't look like that before. So from there, yeah, I don't know. Anyway. Alright, we've just arrived at Wiluna. It's only a small outpost, there's not much here. We've got to refuel here. By the time we get back, it's 500 kilometres. So Wiluna, back to Wiluna is 500 kilometres. So we need fuel for that. There might be some minor resupply, but we need to refuel and then get out of Dodge as soon as we can. We've got to try and get a few kilometres under our belt today. Yeah, we've got to try and stick a dent in it today to make sure we stay on schedule, because we've got to be back in Perth by the end of the week. Alright, we're out of here. We'll be able to drive for about an hour and a half before we need to start looking for a bush camp. So that'll give us, perhaps 100 k's under our belt, which will put us in good stead from tomorrow on. Alright, time to start looking for a bush camp. I think I found something that might have potential. There's only 3 cars, we don't need a lot of room. Early, it's only just after 7 a.m. Sunrise now locally is about 5:30 a.m. and our daily routine is pretty much dictated to by the sun, so yeah, it's only 7 a.m. We've got about 80 kilometres to get to Granite Peaks, the station. We've got to transit through their property. They charge a small fee for that privilege, and that's okay, 20 bucks a car I think it is. So yeah, we'll make our way to Granite Peaks. We'll then transit through their property for about 60 kilometres before getting to Well 5. And probably have lunch there at Well 5, I think. Currently on the access track into Granite Peak Station, the homestead at least. I think it's about 11 kilometres to get there. Alright, I think we're getting close to the homestead now. There's signs of life, and seeing we're visitors here, the least we can do is slow right down, keep the dust down. Yeah, I was looking for signs of life. I found the lady who runs the station, and yeah, it's $30 each for each vehicle. She did say there's a number of people already out there, so yeah, just be mindful of that and keep the speed down, keep left. Yeah, it's about, I think she said 54 kilometres of primarily station track, which is ordinarily just just twin track. And it's probably timely that I try and join the dots for you. The reason why we're going out there is Chris and I did the Canning Stock route some years ago with a group of four-wheel drives, and we started at the top well, I don't know, 54 or whatever the number is. We got down to well 15 and had a catastrophic vehicle breakdown. One of the vehicles within the group, he sheared off his left-hand rear wheel. I did not see that coming. Well, we've strapped a log to the rear axle, and it's that log is taking the weight of the car, so that's the first step. We've tried the drive forward using front-wheel drive only, but it just got bogged, so now we're using a snatch strap. We're going to try and tow it to well 15. Well 15's a restored bore, or a restored well with good quality water, so we're going to try and tow it the 2 kilometres to well 15, so at least we're off the track and in more comfortable surroundings. We dragged it 2 kilometres to get it to well 15, and after being there for 48 hours it was decided by the insurance company to abandon the vehicle, so that's what we did. We left the vehicle there and got down to well 9 and actually exited the Canning Stock route at well 9 through Glenale Station. Anyway, Chris and I wanted to finish the job, so we went back to well 9 some time later on motorbikes, and we were going to attempt to go from well 9 down to well 1 on the Canning Stock route on the motorbikes. We got to well 5 and realised that it was too hard for us physically. We didn't have the skill set that we needed to finish the job, so we abandoned that trip at well 5, and the whole idea of this trip, of course, is to finish the job, this time in vehicles. So we'll go to well 5 and we'll then start heading south down to well 1. Yeah, we're getting very near to well 5 now. It's just up the road here, another couple of kilometres, I think. Well, welcome to well 5. We're going to spend a couple of hours here. The water quality is good and there's no shortage of it. Chris and I are going to try and get rid of some of that caked on mud, in particular on the front wheels, because at 100 kilometres an hour it's all over the shop. The wheels are right out of balance and it makes it pretty uncomfortable. So yeah, we're going to spend a bit of time here. There's nobody else here by the look of it, so we've got the place to ourselves. Have we got the handle?
I have. My things down.
Righto. don't expect to see that in your drinking water, do you? He's going downstream. So yeah, I'm just going to hose it down and let it sit there for a little while. Yeah, on Chris's car he's got such a build up that he thinks it's easier to remove the wheel and attack it from the inside.
I'm going to clock over.
Alright, well that was a good break. We achieved a few things. Both Chris and I cleaned our front rims. He actually went to the trouble of removing his wheels. He got mag wheels on that thing, and yeah, it was just easier for him to remove the wheels and clean them. So yeah, we've done that. Hopefully that'll make a difference. We saved the snake. How it got in that well in the first place I don't know, but and a couple of us actually had a shower as well because there's no shortage of water there. So yes, we're on the Canning Stock route now, leaving well 5, heading south. We've made good time. I don't know where we'll be this afternoon, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, for the next 200 kilometres it'll be all station country, what they call station country. Twin track, maybe a few patches of soft sand. We'll figure it out. We've got some serious corrugations happening here. We may have to end up airing down, I think. I mean, I'm down to about 28 psi at the moment. We might have to air down to something like 20 or something. We'll see how we go. Got a mob of camels. Quite a sizable mob, maybe 5, 6 or 7. The landscape just keeps constantly changing here. Well, I've been on the road for about an hour. We just crossed through a gate. We're now on Cunyu Station, I think it is. And well 4B is marked on the map. As you can see, there's not a lot left. And that's typical of a lot of the wells. You know, some have been restored with good quality water, others have just been left to decay. The sign back there was interesting. It said something about it's going to take 3 hours from here to get to well 3, and that must be all on their property, and they don't want people with trailers. They're talking about steep access and exit on some dry creek lines. So yeah, we might have some interesting conditions up ahead. This is Windage Springs. I don't think there's an actual well there, so to speak, but it looks like it's a permanent water source. There's a billabong through there.
That's 4A.
At least I didn't hit and kill this one. He was just lying in the shade, resting. There's another one there, they're a pair. Well, the vegetation on the terrain has changed again. Now it's sand, almost like dune country. We're about, I don't know, 20 kilometres I guess from well 3, which I think will be quite well established, and I think the water quality there will be quite good. There's probably little sense in going past that. I would have liked to have been a little bit further south by the end of today, but I think we'll have to cut our losses and we'll pull up at well 3 and just perhaps get an early start in the morning to try and make up for a bit of lost time today. Yeah, this will do. I found the well. It's not as elaborate as well 5. There is water there, but the quality would be questionable. So, huge cleared area here. Long drop dunny. So we'll set up here. I think we're not sure because this is pretty much the Ginny's maiden voyage, outback anyway. We're not sure the range. We think it's only about 400 kilometres. So we've got to top it up with 20 litres that we've been carrying around just for this occasion. Right, another morning. We're about, I think, 91 kilometres from Wiluna, going by the roads and tracks. It's pretty early. I would expect we might be there about noon. Maybe try and score a shower out of their new caravan park there, and then start making our way, southwest towards Sandstone. And if we can be a couple of hours out of Wiluna, then that'll put us in good stead for the next couple of days. Some pretty unusual geology around here, and as I said before, the landscape and vegetation is constantly changing. Yeah, we've hit some sandy terrain, but the corrugations are so brutal. I'm down to about 12 or 15 kilometres an hour. You can't find the sweet spot in this sort of terrain because, well, the sweet spot's probably 80 kilometres an hour, and that way you'd be able to do 80 along stretches like this. So you just got to ride it out, if you'll pardon the pun. Well, this is all remains of well 2A. Apparently it was constructed by blasting the granite. I'm not sure where the water would have come from because we're on high ground here at the moment, so that's a bit unusual. But yeah, the storage tank, so to speak, was blasted out of the rock. Crossing another sand plain, and these corrugations are as brutal as they ever get. are nearly at well 2, not far to go now, and from what I've read, the water quality at that well is supposed to be pretty good. Well, I read that there's supposed to be good quality water here, but there's no way you'd be able to retrieve any water from here.
It's got a condom in the tin.
Dad?
This area here is actually called North Pool. This is where the cattle were corralled prior to being shipped further south, I guess to market or whatever they do with cattle. It's also a permanent water source, and that's why they used to come here. This is well number 1. So this is the first of the 54 wells on the Canning Stock Route. So yeah, there's water there, but it's obviously in a state of disrepair, as Chris would say. Well, we are very closely reaching the end of the Canning Stock Route, where it joins onto, I think it's the Wiluna North Road or Ned Creek Road, I'm not quite sure, but it doesn't really matter. Well, speaking of which, yep, here we are. That sign there represents the official end of the Canning Stock Route. It's been 6 years in the making for Chris and I. Our first attempt at doing parts of the Canning was in 2019. And it's taken this long to finally tick that box, so congratulations to Chris and I, and also a big congratulations to Megan and the Jimny. That was their maiden voyage out here in the outback, and both performed exceptionally well. But look, from here we're going to make our way back to Perth on mostly formed gravel and sealed roads, and you wouldn't expect too much to go wrong from here, so you know what that means. See you on the other side.